So for the next sequence here in Manhattan on location, I'm going to work with a softbox, a speedlight, and I'm going to fire it with the radio slaves. In this case, I'm using the Pocket Wizard TT5s because it allows me to shoot TTL. It allows me to go high-speed sync if I need to. Now, the radio poppers work just as well. Pocket Wizards work well. I think in the end, the technology doesn't really matter that much. It is about the technique that we use to get there. Now, for this sequence here, I'm going to use shoot with TTL flash. I found that on location, when I move fast, I have to move around, it really gets me there faster than working with manual flash. I can shoot on the run, I can shoot on the go. It just allows me to get to that sweetening of the image with this light much faster. I like TTL there. But we could have gone with manual flash and a much more methodical process of getting to the exposure, like we showed in the earlier clips. Okay, so we're here in the meatpacking district in Manhattan. It's very colorful, vibrant. And we're going to do a few on-location portraits here. Now, it is noisy. It's on the street, so there'll be a random street noise coming in. Just have to forgive that. Now, in this case, we're working under the awning here, and this is always a very good place to do just available light portraits. We've got beautiful light coming in at a 30-degree or so angle from above. Perfect light in the model. So I'll do a few available light-only portraits, but then you'll see then the background, we have no control over how the exposure is for her in relation to the background, and that's something we can fix with off-camera flash. So let's see how it looks with just the available light. I'm going to take a few tight headshots of Annalisa right here. We've got beautiful light coming in the background that you see there to the left of the frame. That'll be the blown out background behind it. It'll give a very nice high key effect. Let's see what it looks like. So the photograph looked really good because of how I placed in relation to the available light. Beautiful light, but we've got no control over how she is exposed in relation to the background. For that, we need off-camera flash. For the available light portrait of Annalisa that we just shot, I was at 160th at f2.8, 800 ISO. Perfect exposure on her, but the background's blowing out. So now what I can do is base my exposure on the background, and the flash will pick that up. I'm shooting TTL here, so the TTL flash, as we know, will follow my settings within reason. I have to be close enough and not at an f16, f22 kind of really small aperture. So let's see how that works. Now for the background here, I'm just going to meter for it. I'm going to go to maximum sync speed, and let's try f4 and see what that looks like. It's blowing out a little bit. I'm going to drop my ISO to 400 ISO. Just a random test shot of the background. That looks good. It's neutral, it's evenly exposed. Okay, so I changed my settings to 250th, f4, 400 ISO, based on the background, neutrally exposed. I can also then now decide to bring the exposure up again, blow it out a little bit, make it a little more high key, a little more dreamy. It's now under my control what I want to do. But at 250th, f4, 400 ISO, because we're in shade here, she's going to be underexposed. Let's see what it looks like. Just for comparison, we have a photograph here where there's no flash, and then we add flash. Perfect. A beautiful portrait. She's well lit against the background. Now, I did dial my compensation down by a little bit, 2/3 of a stop, just so she doesn't overexpose compared to the background. So what we have here is a beautiful portrait with the out of focus background well exposed. So what I want to show here is that working in a location, there's a lot of interesting elements, there's a lot of interesting nooks and crannies, places we can shoot in, but there's also a lot of visual clutter, a lot of distracting elements. So in the background here, we've got a truck, we've got people, we've got random stuff in the background. Shooting with a long lens, I can compress my perspective, and a wide aperture, I can throw it out of focus. So that truck there doesn't bother me, the other traffic, people, pedestrians there doesn't bother me at all. So again, back to the settings. And that was a loud truck going by. You see what we have to work with here. So my settings, and another one. It just never stops. So my settings again, 250th f4, 400 ISO. I can drop it to 200 ISO, f2.8, and really blur the background. It's within my control. 400 ISO, f4, 2.8, f200 ISO. These are the same exposure settings, but my depth of field will change. So I'm going to drop it actually then. 200 ISO, f2.8. Let's see what we do. Okay, so test shot again quickly at 200 ISO f2.8 without flash. She's very underexposed. with flash, picks it up. Looks great. But now the sun is going down a little bit, so I'm going to pull my exposure up to 400 ISO, pull my ISO up. It'll bring my ambient light back in again. Looking great. Okay, at this point, interesting background. The light on her is unpredictable. We've got light up from there. It's going to be heavy shadows in the eyes. Might not be good. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use that flash over there in a softbox to pick up the light and give nice sweet light on her. So what I want to do here is underexpose for her by some extent. A stop, 2/3 of a stop somewhere, I don't really know. As long as she's underexposed, and I'll allow the TTL flash to pick up the exposure for me and it looks sweet. And Lisa, just give me something dramatic. There we go, cute. And the shot without flash. Very underexposed. I'm going to open up a little bit by opening up my aperture. Give me a little bit something into the light there. Turn your head a little more to me. Turn a little more into the light. There we go. And lift your chin a little up, up, up. Lift your chin and look away up into... Perfect, thank you.